Hello everyone, welcome back. So for today's class, we will be dealing with a reported speech which will get you 5 marks in the exam. So before we start off with what reported speech is all about, let us understand what speech is and how many kinds of speech there are. Okay, so the first thing, speech is nothing but the words spoken by someone. So it can be anyone, whatever they speak, that is nothing but speech, which you all are very familiar with. Now moving on to the types of speech that you have. So you basically have two kinds of speech here. The first one being the direct speech, the second one being the indirect speech or the reported speech. In the exam you will be asked reported speech and not the indirect speech. Both mean the same, yes, but in the exam the question will be asked as reported speech. Moving on, what is exactly meant by direct speech? In direct speech, we use the exact words spoken by someone. For example, the words that I am speaking right now, this type of speech is nothing but the direct speech. I am directly speaking the words to you guys. So, this is nothing but the direct speech. And here you must understand that we will be using quotation mark or the inverted commas. In direct speech, when you have to distinguish between direct and indirect speech, the first thing that you will notice is the quotation mark or the inverted commas. When these inverted commas are present, that means you're dealing with direct speech. Now moving on, you have certain examples here. Please do understand them. So the first one says, he said, I am tired. So here, if you can look at, there is quotation marks. There are quotation marks, and this sentence is directly said by this person. We don't know who that he is, but somebody says that I am tired. And again, if you can look at the second sentence here, she said, I like tea. So these are the words spoken by she. We don't know who she is, but these words are spoken by her. Now moving on, Manya said, I have studied. Now here, I refers to Manya. Alright, so here we know that I refers to Manya. So Manya is directly telling that I have studies. These are her own words. She is not conveying the words of somebody else. She is conveying her own words. That here means direct speech. And again you have one more. Priyanka said, I will eat. Again here I refers to Priyanka, and this is the direct speech. These are the examples of direct speech. You don't have to worry about this one. I'm sure all of you know this, but this is a brief recap. All right. So now moving on to what reported speech is all about, or indirect speech. So what happens in indirect speech? You are telling someone what another person has said, but you will not be using the exact words. All right. Say for example, I told you whatever I'm telling right now is nothing but direct speech. When you are conveying my words to your classmates, to your friends, or to your parents or anyone, that becomes indirect speech. You are talking on behalf of me. That is nothing but indirect or reported speech. I hope this is clear. Let us look at some of the examples. Take the first one. It says, she said, I like coffee. So as you can see that this one is in direct speech. I refers to she is directly telling that I like coffee. Now when you're converting this into indirect speech, what would it become? It becomes, she said that. You're adding that here, and then again you will bring she over here, the pronoun, and say liked coffee. Now she has become a I has become a pronoun here. It has become she. Like has become like, that is, it has gone to the past tense, and coffee has been retained as it is. So this is one example, a very easy one. Moving on, the second example says, he said, I am happy. Now, what is this one? What are you going to convert this as? So, when you convert this direct speech into indirect, it becomes, he said that. Look, you retained this till here as it is. You've added this that as an extra thing, and then I has become he, the pronoun has changed to he, and then am, the present tense has been converted into past, am has become was, happy again has been retained as it is. Again, a very basic example, which you all are very familiar with. Now moving on to the next one. Mohan said, I have prepared for the exam. So directly I refers to Mohan here. These are his own words. He's telling that he has prepared for the exam. So when you're converting this one, what would happen there? So it becomes Mohan said that. So notice everywhere you have been adding that. Alright. So Mohan said that I has become he, have become had. Alright, so we will come to it shortly, the rules and regulations, but for now how you are going to convert is, this is a basic form. Alright, so prepared for the exam has been retained as it is. Moving on to the next one. Danush said, I have a state level exam on Friday. Alright, so I refers to Dhanush. Now when you're changing that one, it becomes Dhanush said that I has been changed to he, have has been changed to has, or had a state level exam on Friday. Now you might be confused with what is this has and had. Suppose Dhanush says this one on a Wednesday, the event has not yet occurred, then you can retain the tense as it is. So if you are talking about this on a Thursday evening, so you say, Dhanush will say that I have a state level exam on Friday, and then he's telling this on a Wednesday. So you then on Wednesday you can write it as Dhanush said that he has a state level exam. Has, because the work hasn't been done yet. Suppose the work is already done, the exam has already been conducted, then you are going to use had. When the work is done, when the event is already been done, then you will use the change of tense. So you can look here, for example, suppose the event is not yet over, then the tense will remain the same. You have to be very careful this one with this one. This is very important. Now moving on, suppose the event is over, then the tense must change. Alright. So now moving on, punctuation marks that are not used in indirect speech. Say for example, you see, take this third example. Mohan said, I have prepared for the exam. So if you can look here, you will see that there is inverted commas, there is this comma, right? So when you convert this one into indirect speech, you will notice that there are no commas and there are no inverted commas. You only will find a full stop over here. So the next rule says that there are certain punctuations which are not supposed to be used in indirect speech. The first one being the quotation marks. So take an example of this one. He said, I have some work. So here you can see that there is inverted comma, there is this quotation mark. So what have you done? When you have converted this into indirect speech, you have removed the quotation mark. You're no longer using them. Right? So that was the first rule. What is the next punctuation mark that you're not supposed to use? It is the comma. You're not supposed to use comma after said. Again, there was some confusion regarding this one. Please understand this carefully. When you're writing a sentence, take this example. She said, comma, I am busy. This is the direct speech. When you're converting this one into reported speech, you are removing this comma here. You cannot see the placement of comma anywhere in the indirect speech sentence. You cannot see here in the reported speech. You can find comma after said only in the direct speech. Now moving on, the third one is that you're not supposed to use the question mark in the indirect speech sentences. So take an example of this one. She said, where are you? Right. So this you should understand that this is an interrogative sentence. This is the question form. So then what are you going to do? you will remove the question mark, you will remove the quotation mark, you will remove the comma. So what happens when you remove all those? It becomes she asked. The reporting verb has also changed here from said to asked, since this one is a question form. Right, so this is a question, and that is why said has been changed to asked. You can also write inquired, you can also write interrogated, things like that. We'll come to it shortly. And next, the fourth one is exclamation mark. The exclamatory mark, you're not even supposed to use that one. Take an example of this one. He said, what a beautiful day. Again, you see comma over here, quotation marks over here, and then you see the exclamation mark. When you're changing that sentence, it becomes he exclaimed that. So you're showing this one, this exclamatory mark is shown in words as a reporting verb here. Alright, so that's what you did here. The question form here, it became asked here. You can also write questioned here. So you will understand what kind of sentence this was based on the reporting verb that you use here. Now again, let us move on to the three important rules. How you are going to change the sentences when you are converting them from direct to reported speech. So the rule 1 says this: tenses will go one step back. The tenses will change to the past tense. Say for example, am or is becomes was, are becomes were, do or does becomes did becomes had done, will becomes would. So you wouldn't understand this without examples, and that is why this video has a lot of examples. And please make sure that you watch till the end of the video and learn as many examples as possible, so that while you're writing in the exam you can write the answer in ease. Okay, so the first sentence says, he said, I am working. Notice here the rule says if you have am in the direct speech, that will change to was when you're converting that to reported speech. So what happens here? He said, I am working, and then when you're changing that one for the reported speech, it becomes he said that. The pronoun has changed to he, am becomes was. He said that he was working. Right? So you are understanding these rules and then you are applying them in the sentences. So the next question goes like this: students said we are working hard. So the students, they say that we are working hard. What would it change to when you are changing that one into reported speech? Are becomes were. Since students is plural, right? So are becomes were. Students said that they, again plural form, they were working hard. Alright, so this is what the rule said. Are becomes were. And next one, she said, I do my homework every day. Now again you can notice do has been changed to did. She said that she did her homework every day. Right? So the first sentence is the direct speech and the second one is the reported speech. How you're going to change that one? Next question. He said, I did my homework, and when you convert this one into reported speech, it becomes he said that he had. Did has changed to had done his homework. Alright, I hope this is clear. So your responsibility is to make sure that you understand all of these rules. And you have one more example here for the first rule, that is, she said, I will try. Okay, so now will has changed to would. She said that she would try. Alright, so this is about the first rule, back shifting the tenses. Now moving on, rule number 2. This is all about the change of pronouns, how the pronouns are going to change. Take example of what I becomes. I as subject pronouns will become he or she, we will become they, you becomes I, he, she, they. Now moving on to object pronouns, me, us, you will ultimately become him or her, them, me, him, her, or they, depending upon the sentence. Now moving on, possessive adjectives, my, your, our becomes his, her, their, my, his, her, their. Right. Now moving on, possessive objectives, mine, yours, ours, they would become his, hers, theirs, mine, his, hers, or theirs. So please take a screenshot of this one if required and make sure that you understand how the rules are going to change. Alright, so this is all about how the pronouns will change, and let us take some of the examples here. Take the first one. She said, Varun, you were wrong. So this someone, okay, so this female is telling to Varun, you were wrong. When you're converting this one into reported speech, you are going to say Varun, you would say she told Varun that he was wrong. Now you has become he. That is what we studied here, right? So you can take any form, I, he, she, they, anything, right? So here you has become he. Now moving on to the next one. He said the teacher scolded me. Now what will me become? Me becomes him, depending on who that person is, whether if it is a male or a female, right? So he retains as it is, me becomes him. Okay, so he said the teacher scolded me. He said that the teacher had scolded him. Alright, see how the tenses are changing. Now moving on to the next one. They said the coach praised us. Alright, the coach praised us. So when you're changing this one into indirect speech, you would say they said that. See, you've retained certain things as it is, and you've added that, and from the next sentence onwards you have changed the tense. Praised has become had praised, us has become them. This is all about changing the pronouns. That is what you've done here. Now moving on to the next one. She said to Ravi, I will help you. Okay, and then when you are changing into reported speech, you would say she told Ravi that I refers to herself. So we have written she here for I. She would help you. She is talking to Ravi. Since Ravi is a boy, the pronoun changes to him. Alright. So now moving on to the next question. She said, I like your dress. Okay, so she's telling I like your dress. When you're changing that one, it becomes she said that she liked my dress. Suppose you have he here, then here you would be changing that one. Depending on who is talking, you will change the pronoun, the male or the female here. Alright, so I hope this is understood. Your changes to my over here, and the next one is they said this is our house. Now again look here, our, like the question, like the rule says, our has been changed to their. Now another one, you have a lot of examples because I want you guys to understand how the changes happen when it comes to the pronouns, when it comes to the time period, place, and how it changes when it comes to the gender and things like that, right? So he said to me that bag is yours. He said to me that bag is yours. So when you're converting, it would become he told me that, as it is, the bag was mine. So from yours, it has become mine. Alright, so the next question, he said the victory is ours. Right, so now you can see the rule said that ours would turn into theirs. So that is what has happened in the answer. They said that the victory is has been changed to was, ours has been changed to theirs. So this is all about changing the pronouns, how the pronouns change. See, these sentences are very simple, these examples are very simple, because I don't want you to look at an exercise and think that this is very complicated at the first glance itself. So I'm taking easy sentences, sentences that you can all relate to, and by doing so, gradually we will take up 2, 3 more, and finally we will go to 5 sentences. Rule number 3, time, place, words will change. What are those words? This becomes very important. So from direct, when it is going to be reported speech, how are they going to change? Now will change to then, today will change to that day, yesterday changes to the previous day, tomorrow changes to the next day, last night changes to the previous night, last week changes to the previous week, ago changes to before, tonight changes to that night, next year changes to the following year, here becomes there, this becomes that, there becomes those, come becomes go, bring becomes take. So I really want you guys to take a screenshot of this one if required, and then memorize them as much as possible. These are very easy. You need not have to, I do not encourage rote method of learning. Do understand how these things are going to change, understand, and then when you apply, they become very easy. All right, so for all the questions, this is how the words will change. Here becomes there, this, that, these, those. You should also be very careful. Now moving on, taking an example, he said, I am busy now. So you saw here that now becomes then. So the first one, now, has changed to then. So that is what has happened in the sentence. He said that I am busy. So that has become, he said that. You've removed the colon, you've removed the inverted comma, you've removed the comma, and then you change that one as he said that. You've added that. He has, I has become he, am has become was, busy has been retained as it is, now has become then. So this is how the changes will happen. The next one is, she said, I met him 2 days ago. 2 days ago, ago becomes before when you're changing it from direct to reported speech. Now again, look here, you've omitted the comma. You can find nowhere in the sentence where a comma is, and then you've also removed the quotation mark. You will not find quotation mark in the answer as well. That is how you will frame the sentence. I met him 2 days ago becomes, she had met him 2 days before. I hope this is understood. The next one, he said, please come here. So this is quite confusing for some of you, but this is how the rule goes. When you have come, that becomes go. Alright. So he asked me to go there. Here becomes there. Alright. Now the next one, she said, bring the file. So when you're converting, she told him to bring becomes take. Take the file. Alright. So this is all about changes when it comes to the time and place. Now moving on, model changes list. So how will these change? Shall becomes should, will becomes would, can could, may becomes might, must becomes had to, have to becomes had to, need to becomes needed to. Be careful here. Ought to, could, would, should, might. They will all remain the same. There are no changes here. They will all be the same because they are already in the past form. Now moving on, taking an example, he said, I shall return soon. Alright, so when you're changing you saw here that shall becomes should, right? So you've applied the same thing over here. So he said that, you've added that, he shall becomes should, he should return soon. The next one, she said, I need to study. So I told you be careful with need. Need becomes needed to. She said that she needed to study. The next one, so you might be seeing here, you've used said in a lot of sentences, right? So in almost all of the examples that we have taken, we have used said, sometimes we have used told, asked, but mostly we have used said. But is it the only reporting verb that we have? You can see the list over here. The number of reporting verbs actually exceeds what I've mentioned here. So instead of said, you can also write told, you can write replied, answered, explained, stated, mentioned, informed, asked, ordered, requested, and so on, depending on the type of sentence. All these reporting verbs will directly depend on the type of the sentence. Alright, on the type of the sentence. Right, so I am sorry. Coming back. Yes, it's like a quick revision for you guys. All right, so reporting verbs are all these kind and they will depend on the type of sentences. All right, so now for example, if I exclaim saying that what a pretty weather it is today, so instead of using the exclamatory mark, you would say exclaimed, right? And then suppose I say, could you please bring me a glass of water? Then for the reported speech, you can ask requested, right? So if you're giving suggestions, then you say suggested, right? And then when you're angry or when you're pleading, so there are all these kinds of reported speech. There are others also. You can use them for your answers, right? So moving on, exercise. So you all know that you will be given 5 marks for reported speech. We'll not directly jump to 5 sentences. Let us understand the simpler ones, and then we will move to the harder ones. So let us take example of 2 speakers here. Say for example, Ravi says, I am nervous about the exam. Neetu says, you will do well. Alright. So, in the exam, this is how they will give. So, you might have noticed in the previous examples, we have used a lot of quotation marks. We have used comma. In the direct speech, when you're talking about direct speech, you're using all these quotation marks depending upon the type of sentence. Now, in the exam, they're going to give you in this manner, right? They'll give you the number of speakers here, whoever it may be. It might be 2, it might be 3, it might be 4. Definitely they are going to give you 5 sentences regardless of how many speakers are there. Even if there are 2 speakers, they would give you 5 sentences accordingly. All right, so here Ravi is telling to Neetu, he tells that I am nervous about the exam, and Neetu says you will do well. So how are you going to change this one? So you would say Ravi said to Neetu that. So this part is absolutely essential when you're writing the exam. Before you even start answering, remember to write both these speakers. The first speaker is speaking to the second one, so make sure you write that one. And the reporting verb also, when you look at the sentence, if it is a simple sentence, if it is not exclamatory sentence or an interrogative sentence, then you can use anything. Accordingly, you should be using them. So, Ravi said to Neetu that. Alright. He was nervous about the exam. Okay. I am nervous. Am has become was. I has become he. Okay, so Ravi said to Neetu that he was nervous about the exam, and now you're connecting two sentences. Alright, so when you're connecting two sentences, you will be using these linkers. Alright, and she told him, she refers to whom? Neetu here. Neetu told him that he would do well. Right, so you might be using told here, or advised, or suggested. You can use words like this as well depending upon the type of sentence. Alright, so if two people are writing together, and if you write one reporting verb and other write something else, it might not be wrong depending upon the type of sentence. You can use any reporting verb accordingly. But one suggestion, since you will be writing a few reporting verbs in the exam, I would suggest you to use different ones depending upon the sentence. Alright, so let us take an example of three speakers here. So there is a teacher and there are two students, Karan and Madhu. The teacher tells the test will be easy, and Karan says that is a relief. Madhu says I feel confident now. So if I ask you to convert this one into indirect speech, only looking at one sentence at a time. Suppose you take only this one at a time, it would be very easy for you to say. You would say the teacher said. Alright, so what would you write this one as? The teacher said that the test retains as it is. That the test will, you already know what will changes to. Will changes to word. The test would be easy. So when you're converting one sentence at a time, this is what you will write. But here, since there are three speakers, you cannot simply write it this way, but then you will have to show that there is some sort of connection between the speakers. Then what will you do is, you would say the teacher said to Karan and Madhu. Alright, so you are bringing that there is a relationship between the teacher and the speakers. Right, so you tell the teacher said to Karan and Madhu that the test would be easy, to which Karan said that that was a relief. Sometimes people would say that, ma'am, you have written that twice here. It is repeating. It is wrong. It is not actually wrong. It is correct, but when you're telling this out loud, you might find it a little awkward, right? You wouldn't understand it as much, right? Normal people wouldn't understand. An English student would definitely understand this one. Here, if you are not sure, then you can also use it here. That it was a relief is also correct. That was a relief is also correct. All right, and Madhu added that he felt confident now has changed to then. Now has changed to then. See, I've added certain stuff here. Added that, to which Karan said that. See, when you're changing a direct speech into indirect speech, I told you will not be changing anything, right? You will be using the exact words. The only things that you change is the quotation mark, the comma, and the other exclamatory marks or interrogative question mark. If they are used, you will be removing that one, right? So the next question is about four speakers here. There is mother, son, and father. So the family is having a conversation here. So the mother tells, you must study regularly. So she is, by looking at this sentence, you would understand that mother is talking to the son. She wouldn't definitely ask the husband or the father to study regularly. So she is telling to the son to study regularly, and the son says, I am trying my best. Father says, hard work always pays. Son says, I will remember that. Now, how will you change this one? How are you going to change this one? So they will give you a question in this manner itself, and then instead of writing one line for each sentence, you will have to form a paragraph, and that paragraph must contain 5 sentences only. In our case, this one has 4 sentences. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So when you are writing a paragraph, you must make sure that it is 4 sentences only, not more than that. So when you change that one, the mother advised her son. Okay, so what is the mother doing? She is advising him, or she is suggesting him. You can use that also here. Okay, you can also write suggested here. Right, the mother, anything you can write and it will still be wrong, relating to the type of sentence. The mother suggested her son that he had to study regularly. You must study regularly. You, she is talking about the son. Son is a male, and hence you got he had to study regularly. The son replied to her that he was trying his best. So what he tells, I am trying my best. So I has become he. So he tells to her. Her refers to the mother. So he tells he was trying his best. Okay. He refers to the son. He is referred to the son's ability. So he is talking about his own ability. Now what will the father tells? The father says hard work always pays. Now convert this one into reported. It becomes the father said that hard work always paid. It can be paid here or pays as it is. Since it is a proverb, since it is a suggestion, so it can stay anyway. It will not be wrong if you write it as paid or pays. All right. To which the son assured him that he would remember that. All right. So I will remember that has been changed to I changes to he, will changes to would, remember that will retain as it is, would remember that. So this is all about reported speech. So make sure that you've understood, make sure that you've understood everything, remember the rules. All right. So you have direct and indirect speech. Indirect is also called as reported speech. In the exam you will be asked reported speech itself. You took some of the examples here, right? So you learned that in the direct speech you would have quotation marks, right? And then you would have comma after said. So when you're converting this one into indirect speech, you would remove all the quotation mark, right? And you would change the tense. The tense will not change if the event has not yet occurred or it is not over. If the event is not over, then the tense may remain as it is. Suppose the event is over, then the tense must change from present to past. Now you all know that you are supposed to make sure that you remove certain punctuation marks, no quotation mark. You will not be using commas, you will not be using question marks, you will not be using exclamatory marks. Alright. When you are connecting two sentences, then you can use comma. This is widely misunderstood. The rule says that only after said you are not supposed to use comma. But when you are trying to connect two sentences, then comma is accepted in indirect speech or the reported speech. So please do remember all these things. Take a screenshot of it. So you have a lot more of things to learn here. These are mere examples, and make sure how the pronouns change here. This will be of real good help. Take a screenshot of this one if required. This is all about the pronouns. So we have gone through I think a lot of examples, and now rule 3 about how the time and place words change. So from direct to indirect. Now changes to then, today, that day. This also is very important. You will get confused, but if you do practice a few times, then this will be very easy to you guys. And again, we've been through many examples. Modal changes, how they change: shall to should, will to would, can to could, may, might, etc. You've also seen how you apply these rules into sentences. take a look at the reporting verbs. How many reporting verbs are there? There are hardly few that I've written, but there are a lot of reporting verbs. And then you came across the exercises. So in the exam, this is how they will give. All right. Now that we are done with the exercises, let us take a look at the exercises which have been given by the PU board in this question bank, which is released by the PU board. So the question will go like this one. This question item has 5 sentences. Like I said, for 5 marks, they are going to ask you 5 sentences in direct speech. Various types of sentences are included. The question can be either textual or non-textual. So for a very long time, the questions that came in the exam were actually textual. That means they came from the textbook itself. For example, it came from Two Deer, it came from Borges, it came from Sunny Morning, it came from the Otter chapter. But now they've also introduced some new uh, non-textual exercises as well. So now take example in the exam. Question number 34 is going to be reported speech. Question number 34 will be reported speech, and the question, how are they going to name it as? They're going to name it as report the following. Sometimes now they have removed the report writing exercise, but back then, previous years when you had report writing, students used to get confused in these two parts. So when they say report the following conversation, that means you are supposed to convert this one from direct to indirect speech or reported speech. Now that this is understood, this question is from the question bank itself. So this is actually a non-textual question. That means they have taken it from outside the textbook. Now let us move on to the solving of this exercise. Yes. So look at the first sentence. Rajat says, Papa, can you please take me to Central Hall today evening? So when you read this sentence, you're supposed to understand how many speakers are there totally. So there is Rajat and Rajat's father. And you are supposed to look at the first sentence, what kind of sentence it is. Since Rajat is requesting his father, you will have to write Rajat requested his father. Rajat requested his father. See what we have done here. We have retained Rajat as it is. Instead of said, we have used requested as the reporting verb here. His father. His father refers to Rajat's father. Father to take him. To take him, me has become him. To take him to Central Hall, Central, I'm sorry, Central Hall today evening. That changes into today becomes that evening. Alright, so this is what we have learnt. I hope this first sentence is clear. Rajat requested his father to take him. Take me has become take him here. So what you can see, take me, this one has become take him to Central Hall that evening. So we are done only with one sentence. And if you write this much for the answer, you will be given only 1 mark because you are solving only one sentence here. Now continue with the next one. Then you can write his father asked him. His father asked him. Why are you using asked here? Because father is questioning here. This is an interrogative question. So since he is questioning, you will have to use asked. Right? His father asked him why. So why you want to go there? So that one becomes why he wanted to go there. Go there as it is. Should we put a question mark here? No, because you have changed that one from interrogative sentence. You have changed that one since that is the reason you will be omitting the question mark. Now moving on, take a look at the next sentence. Rajat is answering. He says, because he wants to go there, that is to Central Hall, because there is an intercollegiate drama competition. Okay, so intercollegiate drama competition is going on. So what can you write there? You should write replied that Rajat replied that an intercollegiate. I is a novel. Since it is a novel sound, you will have to use an intercollegiate drama competition was going on. Is becomes was, and then going on has been retained as it is. So we are done with the third sentence now. So moving on. Father. So what is father replying to that one? So he's asking a question again. So what he tells, shall we go there at 5 p.m.? Again, look at this one. It is an interrogative sentence. So what are you going to do? Since it is an interrogative sentence, so you will definitely ask, his father asked. Alright, you can write that also, but at the same time you can also write his father suggested that they should, right? So here shall has become should. So you are going to write, his father suggested that they should go there at 5 p.m. Again, you have retained that as it is. Go there at 5 p.m. You have removed the question mark. But now what is Rajat telling? Rajat, no, we shall go at 6 p.m. Had Rajat accepted his father's words of going there at 5 p.m., then you could have continued. But since he is saying no here, that means you will have to write but. Okay, saying that Rajat did not agree to it. So you will write, but Rajat said that they would go at 6 p.m. So this is the answer for that question, the first one which is given in the question bank. So you can see here, Rajat requested, we have written requested based on the sentence again, right? Because this tone here, he is requesting, he is pleading his father, right? So that is why what we have done, requested. You can use other reporting verbs as well. You can take a look at the reporting verbs here, right? We have already studied this one. You can take example of this one, right? So based on that one, we have written the first line. Now moving on, second line also, it is an interrogative question, hence the word asked. And there is one more question, shall we go there at 5 p.m.? So how many questions were there? The first sentence here was, he is requesting, Rajat is requesting his father. So this is one question, this is another question, and here you have another question here. So totally you have three questions. For the first one you have written requested because of the word please. Please, that is why you have written requested. For the second one you have written asked. For the third one, you are writing it as suggested. Right, you're writing it as suggest. So this means that no matter what a sentence is, suppose it is, take example as an interrogative sentence. If it is an interrogative sentence, you need not stick on to only one kind of reporting verb, you can stick on to different kinds, since you will be writing the answers, and if you are really requiring to get 5 on 5, that means you will have to change the reporting verbs. All right, so it's not a compulsion that you will have to change it, but if you change, you have a better chance of getting good marks. I hope this is understood. Let us take an example of another question here. Alifano asked, "What is your first literary reading?" Borges replied, "My first literary reading is Grimm's Fairy Tales." Alifano asked, "Where did you read it?" Borges said, "I read it in my father's library. It taught me more than any high school or university." Again, a very simple one. Let us start off with the first sentence. Understand how many speakers are there. So, you know that there are two speakers here. So you are going to write the first one, that is Alifano asked Borges. What kind of sentence is this one? It is an interrogative sentence. So you will write Alifano asked. Whom is he asking to? He is asking it to Borges. So Alifano asked Borges, "What is your first literary reading?" So that will change it into what is your becomes his, right? What his first literary reading was, right? So Alifano asked Borges what his first literary reading was. Now what is Borges doing? He is replying to it. It is already given the question. So you will continue writing Borges replied that, or you can also write to which Borges replied that. That part is also correct. Borges replied that, "My first literary reading is Grimm's Fairy Tales." My becomes his. His first literary reading, is becomes was. Past tense was Grimm's Fairy Tales. Grimm's Fairy Tales. I hope this is understood. Very clean and easy, direct it is. Next, what is Alifano doing now? Alifano is again asking a question. He asks, "Where did you read it?" So that one becomes Alifano then asked. You can write Alifano asked also, it is correct. But then if you write then, that means you are trying to experiment with the sentence, right? You are not using the only one kind of reporting verb there. You are trying to change it. That means your answer will have good weightage to it. Alifano then asked him. Again here, him refers to Borges. Him where he had read it. Where he had read it. So where did you read it has become where he had read it. Now what should you write for the next sentence? Borges said, "I read it in my father's library." Now for this one you can write down as Borges said or replied that he had read it in my becomes his father's, be careful with the punctuation mark, father's library, full stop. Now what he tells, "Father's library, it taught me more than any high school or university. Now you are supposed to continue, and you can write and added that it had taught him it had taught it had taught him more than more than any high school any high school or university So that is all we have done here, right? Look at the question. We have not changed any meaning here. We have changed the tense. We have used different reporting verbs. Apart from that, we have changed nothing here, right? So here you can write said or replied. Anything is fine, right? So this was one more example. Now moving on to the next one. Roof says, do not forget our sign is the motor car. Woman, is it like Marcus's car? Roof, it is the same car. Don't look at the other with the man's head. So take a look at this one. Again here, how many people are there? It is two people here. The conversation is happening between two people. So you can write down the first one as roof. Now what is roof telling? Do not forget our sign is the motor car. So he is reminding the woman. So you can write roof reminded the woman. So if you write a woman, you may not be referring to this particular woman, right? When you use the article the, that means you are referring to that particular woman. Roof reminded the woman that our becomes there, that their sign is the motor car. Is becomes was the motor car. Alright. So this is the first sentence. Now moving on to the second. Woman, is it like Marcus's car? Now what is she doing? Again this is a question mark. So interrogative sentence. Then what will you do? The woman asked now. So suppose if it is an yes or no question, then you can write if or whether. Okay. So is it like Marcus's car? Yes or no will be the answer, right? So for that one you can use either if or whether. So we'll use whether here. Whether it was like, it is like becomes it was like Marcus's car. Will not put the question mark here. Then you will continue. Who speaks now? Roof is speaking now. So what will Roof tell? Roof replied that it is the same car becomes it was the same car. It was the same car. And what is he doing? Don't look at the other with the man's head. Now what is he doing? Look at the change in the tone. First he was reminding her. Now he is warning her. So he will tell and warned her. So you already have studied the chapter, the voter. You know how important it was for Marcus to get all of the votes, right? So that is why Roof is convincing the woman to vote to Marcus himself and not to anybody else. So he's telling and warned her not to look at the other the other with the man's head. With the man's head. Okay, so this is going to be the answer for the next one. Suppose you may look at this question and think there are only three dialogues here. How is it for 5 marks? You should not forget that this is one sentence separated by a full stop. You have another sentence here. This is your third one. This one is the fourth, and this one is the fifth. The PU board will not fool you guys. Definitely it is going to ask you, it will give you 5 sentences and you're going to change those 5 sentences into reported speech. Now moving on to the last one, and after this you have 3 or 4 more examples given in the question bank. So make sure to go through them. If any doubts, please ask. So we'll move on to the next question. Here you can see that there are 2 speakers here, right? So first one, there is a minister, and prince, there is a minister, right? So there is a prince and there is a minister, and they are having a conversation. So look at the first sentence. What will the prince tell? You must find some cheaper way of dealing with this rascal, right? And then he continues, the present plan is too expensive. So what is happening now? Who is having the conversation with whom? It is the prince, right? So you will write, the prince, what is he doing? He is telling to the minister. The prince told to whom? The minister. Alright? Be careful with the article. The prince told the minister that he must find, that you has become he, that must find he must find some cheaper way, some cheaper way of dealing, this is as it is, no change, with this rascal. Now this becomes the rascal or that rascal. This becomes that, as you already know, that rascal. Alright, so this is from 2 dear. And then the sentence stopped there, but then another sentence is here. He tells another one. So what you can do is, instead of making that as 2 sentences, you can write it here itself by adding as the present plan, as the present plan is too expensive. Is becomes was too expensive. Alright, so these 2 sentences we are done. Now the minister says we must dismiss the guard. Okay, so what will you write? The minister replied to that, or you can write the minister replied that we has become they, that they must dismiss the guard. Again, as it is, the guard, full stop. Now will that be a solution? So this is said by the prince. Now how will you write this one? The prince then asked. The prince then asked. The prince then asked. Again, yes or no question. You can write if or whether. Okay. So here you can choose anything. The prince asked whether it would be a problem. Sorry, it would be a solution. Yes. So will has become would. right? So will has become would over here. Would it be a solution? Now, what is the minister telling? The minister says, yes, he will run away. Okay, so how are you going to write this S as? So, you can write it as the minister answered that that it would be a solution. Sorry, it would be, and then he will add to it, adding that he will run away. He refers to actually the criminal here, since we already know the story. So you can write the criminal itself, adding that, or you can retain it as it is. If you know who that person is, you can write it. If you do not know, then you can retain it as it is. So since they've not mentioned here, what we can do is you will retain that as it is. It's not an issue. Adding that he would run away. Now, I hope this is understood. Moving on to the next one. So this is one of the classic examples. Donna Laura, Don Gonzalo, two speakers are talking here. This is a very sarcastic conversation that happens. So this one would be a homework to you guys. You solve this question and put them in the comments, or you can text me. So this one will be for the homework. So that is all for today. So summing up what you've studied from, you will be changing tense. First thing, when you're converting from direct to indirect speech, you will change the tense, right? So you will change the tense. You will actually back shift the tense. The second one is you will change the pronouns, right? You will change the pronouns. For example, here you took you must find some cheaper way of dealing with this rascal. So you, what have we written for you? He must find some cheaper way, right? You have changed the pronoun here. So, and then the first rule, you have changed the tense. You must find some cheaper way. So you have retained that as it is, because you must is already in the past form. So you have retained that as it is. The present plan is too expensive. Is has become was too expensive, right? So it is here. Is has become was. So first thing, you have changed the tense, you have changed the pronouns, and the third one is reporting verb, right? So you will be using different reporting verbs, and then you will be using no punctuation marks, right? You will be using no punctuation marks, and the only thing that you will use is a full stop and a comma when you are trying to connect two sentences, but you cannot use a comma when you write said. So after said, you cannot be using comma. This becomes incorrect. Alright. So these questions are from the, like I said, they are from the question bank. Please do get the handbooks by the PO board, which might already been given to you guys. Make sure to solve the questions. Don't go through the answers given in the handbook. Ask your lecturers, ask your concerned teachers for the answer. Don't refer any other book for the answer, because sometimes the answer may be wrong in the handbook. So that is all about reported speech. Hope you study well. Thank you.